Today we have the opportunity to speak with Sameer Bhide, author of the new book, One Fine Day, Overcoming Adversity and Embracing the New Normal with Grace and Gratitude. In it, Sameer shares his remarkable journey of how he survived a rare, massive hemorrhagic stroke at the age of 47, what therapies and treatments he pursued to help him heal, and the mindsets he kept, and the lessons he learned along the way. We are so grateful Sameer is here today to share his story with us. Let's get started. Can you talk to our listeners a little bit about what life was like for you before your stroke? How would you describe your health, family, work, etc.?
Sure. And I can certainly do that. And if you don't mind, and if it's okay with you, I just want to give a quick background about myself, 10, 20 seconds. So that way, we'll level set where I'm coming from. So I grew up, I was born in India. I grew up in a big city, Mumbai. And I moved to the US about 31 years ago, first as an international student. And then, I found employment in consulting and technology in many companies. Then I got my green card, and then I eventually became a citizen, and then finally settled in Northern Virginia 18 years ago, outside of Washington, D.C. And just a quick background, over the last 4 years, I have faced so much adversity, which has resulted in an absolute new normal for me, which has kept changing. Now, I had three major life-altering events, the way I look at it. First was obviously a massive and an extremely rare stroke in January of 2017. I was 47 with a young family. And then I had 2 brain surgeries. I spent 30 days in a medically induced coma, and I've been rehabbing ever since. And I was completely bedridden for the initial few months. Then I transitioned to a wheelchair, then a walker, and now I'm on a cane. I still have issues with dizziness, balance, and headaches, but I'm breathing. I'm alive. I'm extremely lucky to be alive. So that was my first, life-altering event. The second was after working nonstop for 24 years before my stroke, I had to stop work because of the stroke. So that was very tough, to completely stop work after 24 years. And then third, I had another personal crisis. I went through a divorce. So these three, I felt like my entire life came crashing down. But I was truly, truly thankful that I had survived. And I wanted to give back to society somehow, right? And I wanted, I had done so much treatments and therapies in Western medicine and Eastern medicine. So I wanted to share those stories, experiences, lessons learned to others, with others, because I had no idea what it takes to what it took to heal your mind, body, and spirit before my stroke, and I wanted to share those experiences with others. So I decided to write my memoir, One Fine Day, and my sincere hope by doing that is that it will provide some comfort, information, and inspiration to others.
Yeah.
So I call myself an accidental author. Before my stroke, I had never ever imagined me writing a book.
Yeah.
And but my calling was so strong, and I found a way to do it. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, I love the name of your book, by the way. My husband and I were talking about it yesterday. He said, I dig it.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that background. What happened the day of your stroke? What, if anything, do you remember?
Sure. So, I found it later on that, there are 2 types of strokes. I did not know at that time. So there are 2 types of strokes. So the most common is lifestyle stroke, which is, you're drinking, you're diet, your lack of exercise, and so on and so forth. So most of the strokes are that. And very few, maybe about 10% of the strokes are genetic types. So you are born with some abnormality, and that develops into a stroke. So I was in that category. Mine was a genetic stroke, and I was born with this abnormality, and it would have happened at some point, and it just happened to happen when I was 47. So I had no symptoms whatsoever. In fact, I had done a complete physical 15 days before my stroke. Mm-hmm. Stroke happened on Jan 31st, 2017. And just 15 days before, I had a regular physical, right? And obviously, they don't do an MRI because, again, if there are no symptoms, they will not even go there.
Right.
And so, everything was, normal till the day of the stroke, that morning, when, I could work from home. So I was doing my emails. I was, doing my, work emails and personal emails. And suddenly my left sinus, right below my eye, started to hurt. And it became a throbbing pain. And that to me, was the start of something. And I didn't take it seriously till I started to feel dizzy. That was my next symptom. I started to get dizzy. I couldn't sit on the bed. So I just lay down there. And then the third symptom, which really, me and my ex-wife found that something is wrong, is I started to sweat. So here I was, throbbing pain of the sinus, couldn't sit straight, and I started to sweat. And that indicated to us that something is wrong. Mm-hmm. And we called the paramedics, and they came in like 10, 15 minutes. And when they came, they also couldn't figure out what was going on because my vitals were normal, everything was normal, and they just couldn't figure out what was going on. Yeah. And they thought that I had a severe migraine headache. Mm-hmm. And lucky for me, they decided to take me to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so they took me down, and as I got loaded into the ambulance, I passed out. And then I reached the hospital in about 10, 15 minutes. In about a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And obviously I don't remember this, but apparently I told them that something, they asked me whether something, because they also couldn't figure out what was going on, right?
Right.
The ER hospital. So they asked me if is there anything else going on. So apparently I told them that I feel like my left hand is kind of hanging in the air. And as soon as they heard that, they rushed me to do an emergency MRI. And that revealed that I had burst my, a vessel in a cerebellum. Mm-hmm. And I was going through a massive hemorrhagic stroke. Wow. So that was the first time they realized. So as soon as they got that, they rushed me to the emergency, operation room within an hour. And then I had 2 brain surgeries. And then I don't, again, I don't remember anything because the next 30 days I was in a medically induced coma. Mm-hmm. And I do remember a couple of things from those 30 days, which I have mentioned in the book, mm-hmm. but I have basically no recollection of those 30 days. And then the only thing I remember is when they were shifting me to the rehab hospital after 30 days. And that's when I gained my consciousness. So that's what happened that day.
Wow. And is that what you are referring to as one fine day?
Correct. So one fine day is, again, the whole idea behind one fine day is that anything can happen anytime to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by one fine day. Yeah. And it's, again, it's not just medical adversity, right? It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be, I'm talking about life changes.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not just talking only bad life changes, also good life changes. And I'll give you some examples. So it could be anything. It could be physical. It could be emotional. It could be a big thing. It could be a small thing. It could be a personal thing. It could be a professional thing. It could be a planned thing. like a planned surgery or a sudden thing like me. And it could happen to anyone, right? Rich or poor, old or young, black or white, anywhere in the world. And, the bad life changes when I refer to one fine day are, obviously things like medical illness like me. It could be a layoff, it could be a divorce, it could be a loss of a loved one, or the pandemic situation which we all are facing, or whatever it may be. So these are the bad life changes. And good life changes could be anything, like marriage, birth of a child, getting promoted, change of a career or retirement or whatever. So my point in the book is that no matter what your life changes are, good or bad, these life changes will result in a new normal, and it alters our trajectory, and it requires successful adaptation. So embracing your new normal with grace and gratitude, which I've tried to do over the last 4 years, is the only choice one has, and it all starts with acceptance. So that's kind of the theme of One Fine Day.
Well, it's not the only choice one has.
Right. But, it's one of the important choice one has. Let me put it that way.
It's a very good option.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so when you woke up, before we get too far ahead, I want to dive into that. But so when you woke up in the hospital, or I guess in rehab, and realized what had happened, what was your reaction at that point?
Right. I was in complete denial, Emily, because here I was going 100 miles an hour before my stroke, and now I was completely bedridden. I was barely maybe doing 10 miles an hour. And, it was very hard for me to, comprehend what was going on. I was basically in denial, and I was pissed. Why is this happening to me? Why am I suffering? Why my family has to suffer? So those thoughts, hounded me for that month and a few months after that. And in fact, those thoughts were so much into me. And I think many people who go through adversity feel that way. And, it hounded me. And in fact, I have the second chapter in my book is titled Why Me? Because I was constantly, angry or pissed off. Why is this happening to me? And I was in this self-pity mode, and I was complaining again to myself. But, those thoughts, when I woke up, those were the immediate thoughts. And I also felt that, okay, whatever it is, I will be going back to work in a couple of months. So this was in March of 2017. I thought I'll go back to work by July of 2017. And to date, I have not gone back to work. But I was, again, in a denial, and whatever it is, I'll go back to work. And so it was hard for me to comprehend what was going
on. Yeah. That's the natural part of the grieving process.
Right.
For anything any adversity, I suppose.
Right.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about your approach to healing. I understand that you went from bedridden to the use of a cane by using both traditional Western medicine, but you also went to India several times to pursue holistic therapies. Can you walk me through what that path was for you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So the initial 6-7 months after my stroke, I did a lot of, hard physical rehab, speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. I did a lot of that, and that definitely helped me. And, I slowly started to accept what was happening to me, right? Acceptance was a challenge the first few months, but I slowly started to accept what was happening to me. And I started to realize that I'm not defined by all these adversities I'm facing. I had I had a choice to make, right? Either be sad and depressed by the situation, or accept my reality and move forward to rebuild my life. And I decided to do that. And especially now with the pandemic, I think everybody's going through, this, that you, people wish that, we should go. I wish the situation was like before the pandemic. But it has created this new normal. You have to accept it, and you have to find different ways, to live with this situation. And so my philosophy started to move from being why me, being challenge, questioning why is this happening, to slowly accepting a reality. So I did a lot of physical therapy, and then something was missing because I was getting, my strength was coming back, my vision was getting better, but my mind was still in a turmoil. Right, this is after a few months. And so I thought there has to be a different way to help me heal my mind, because I was healing my body for sure. But my mind was in a turmoil. So I thought there has to be a different way. So that's when I took the advice of a friend to go to India to this holistic facility. And I spent about 2.5 months there, where I was introduced to holistic treatments, and not just Indian, yoga and Ayurveda treatment, but also other, holistic treatments like acupuncture and stuff like that. So what it did for me, and that's where I started to the practice of meditation, which was absolutely new to me. I had never done meditation before, nor I had done yoga. And the yoga, again, I was when I was in India for 2.5 months, I told the medical doctor there, I said, look, I am not, in a physical shape to do these hard yoga exercises and poses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he said, look, yoga is much more than just those poses and, hard physical exercises. There are a lot of things, related to breathing and stuff like that, and meditation and stuff like that. So I got introduced to that, and that helped me, kind of calming my mind down. And to date, I practice, meditation. I do mindfulness meditation. So that was number one thing which helped me calm my mind. And then I came back. The other thing which helped me, Emily, was I started talking to a clinical psychologist. And again, I had never done that before. Being a very data-driven person and a logic-driven person, I always used to feel that all this touchy-feely stuff is not important, but that helped me a lot. So these two things, meditation and talking to a clinical psychologist, helped me calm my mind and accept the situation.
Well, that's amazing. So this, can you share about the treatment center? Was it more of a rehabilitative place, or was it just for anyone?
Yes. It was basically for anyone, Emily. So people typically go there 5 to 7 days, to relax, to have massages,
like a
to
retreat.
meditate and all, like a retreat.
Okay.
And I was the unique one. I joke with my mom that I'm a legend over there, because I was there 2.5 months. So I went there for rehab, and so the center was focused on holistic healing, whether you have a severe medical illness like me, and very few people were like that. But I would say 80% of the people were just regular, 5 to 7 day visit to relax. And the focus was all, they had like a lot of Ayurvedic massages using, medicated oils. They had meditation, they had yoga. And I also did physical therapy there. So that was the thing, before I went there, I wanted to make sure that I'm not just doing yoga and, the healing practices. I also wanted to continue doing hard physical therapy. So the way I look at this, and I say this in the book, is the Eastern holistic, treatments and therapies I took complemented my hard physical therapy. And you need both in balance. And that was my lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love the term complementary medicine, or complementary therapy, because I think that, well, first of all, everyone's unique and they need different things, but they need a bit of both. There is no one answer for everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I stress this in my book again and again. because, there were two camps, right? One camp is the cutting edge medical technology, and that camp says, you don't need anything else as long as you have the cutting edge medical technology, and that is the kind of the silver bullet. And the other camp is, saying, okay, they shun any medical technology. They just do these natural therapies or holistic therapies, and they refuse to do anything else. So my point in the book is that both these extremes are not good. You have to do both and do both in balance. That has been my experience.
No. Okay, so what moments from your recovery stick out as the hardest?
So, there were a lot of things which, kind of were, very, very challenging for me. But some of the things I can think of, obviously the one I mentioned, the why me. I would say for the first 6 to 8 months after my recovery, that was definitely, a challenging situation. It hounded me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was physically very weak, right? And that, I was a sportsman before when I was young. I used to play a lot of tennis and racquetball before my stroke. And now I was physically weak. I could not even take 5 steps.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing, which was, very challenging, was, they used a catheter on me because obviously I was in such a state. And that was very painful. And I don't want to gross you or your listeners out, but it was very, very, very painful. And that memory is entrenched in me.
Mm-hmm.
The catheter was painful. The feeding tube in me, although it was badly needed, when they took it out, it was extremely painful. And so those were a few things which were difficult for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. But on the flip side, what were some of the most rewarding and memorable moments of your recovery?
So I think if you look at my recovery, I think the first and foremost is I realized that I have a good circle of friends and family who are supporting me, and that I always knew that, but once I got into this, once I started to recover, I realized that how helpful all kinds of people were, and I have a very diverse circle of friends and colleagues here.
Mm-hmm.
So people, from all kinds of backgrounds, there were whites, blacks, Asians, educated, uneducated, legal, not legal, and so all kinds of backgrounds, and they helped me recover, and which was the number one thing which I noticed, and which it made me feel good, because there's so much negativity in this world, and there's so much problems going on, and my case or my example is this is like a stress in the book, right? This is our United States, right? This is 80-90% of our country is this way. People are very accepting of each other. People are from all walks of background. And yeah, there are 10-15% of bad apples, if you will, but most of the country is we are. This is why we are what we are. That people from all walks of life, everybody, as long as you are contributing to society, everybody is very helpful, and so that stuck to me big time. As I recovered, so that was number one. And the other thing which I realized, which I didn't know before or had that much idea, is that strength and resilience is something you don't fully know you have until you need it. And that was in my case. I knew I was strong.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was resilient, but I did not think that I was so strong and resilient till I actually had to, till I faced it. I didn't know I had this much of resilience. And that's the message in my book is that everybody is resilient, everybody has strength, and you don't know till you actually have to do it. So that was my second, if you call it, thing which came to me.
Wow. Yeah.
And the third thing, which I can think of, is I realize how much empathy and compassion are important. Because before my stroke, I was a very competitive person. I was, always, doing like the many of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was very competitive, always tried to do things in a competitive way. Not that I was an asshole, but I was much more competitive and much more and always on the go and so on and so forth. After my stroke, I realized that I was much more compassionate and I had much more empathy,
Yeah.
and it has become much more meaningful to me after my stroke. Now, whether it's because of the stroke or because of the experiences I had after the stroke, but I definitely realized that I've become much more compassionate than before. Not that it was not important before, or
Mm-hmm.
I was not compassionate before. I
Mm-hmm.
was, but after the stroke, I definitely, that those areas increased in me for sure, and I realized that myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Big life changes like that
Right.
really change you or open your eyes to, well, many, many more. For me, they deepen those layers so much
Right.
more
Right.
empathetic and compassionate and gratitude for everyone around you. It sounds like just realizing
Absolutely.
humanity.
Right. Right. And again, you talk about gratitude, and what I realized in my journey is that being positive and expressing gratitude are a choice one has.
Yes.
It's not that it's a choice you have. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course, you're born with some of it, some of that, that being positive, the ability to express gratitude. So some of it you're born with it, but the most important thing I think, which I realized also, is that these can be learned or developed. Finding positivity and expressing gratitude, and that's definitely a choice.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. It's something I've been practicing more recently for the last few months, and I kind of I want to say force, but like I have a practice
Right,
that I
right.
have to come up with three
Yeah,
things every day, and
absolutely.
I don't always want to do it, and but it has
No,
changed me little by little, and definitely,
absolutely, absolutely. And you know what, Emily, it's not an easy thing to do. Whether it's you, whether it's me, or anybody else.
mm-hmm.
It's an easy thing to say, oh, let's be positive and
Yeah,
express gratitude, but actually doing it is definitely challenging.
yeah,
So one of the habits I developed to help me in that, I started this habit of daily journaling. And before my stroke, I was a big to-do person. I would only jot down the things I needed to do, but I never expressed my feeling on paper the way I do it in my daily journaling habit. And
mm,
at the end of the day, when I write my journal, I write down three things for which I'm very thankful for that day.
yeah,
And that again, as you said, it takes time, because I went through so much adversity. Finding three things to be thankful for was
mm-hmm.
very challenging, and obviously for me, but obviously for a lot of others who are going through adversity, it's not easy. But you have to, find things, and that helped me over the last 4 years the daily journaling habit, and then jotting down the three things which I was very grateful and thankful for.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, they say it changes your brain.
Exactly.
Gratitude. Yeah. Okay. So, what is your life like today? After the
So
book.
I'm on long-term disability. Yeah. So I'm on long-term disability. And when I wrote the book, I wasn't sure how I was going to write the book because, I can spend more, 10, 15 minutes at a stretch on the computer. I can only type with one hand because my left side is weak. So I was not sure how would I, write the book. But I found a way. I got a ghostwriter back in Pittsburgh to help me write the book. So the way we work is, now I was the author with the stories, the experiences. I would draft the initial, thing. I'll send the ghostwriter the notes. He would then fine tune it further and write further for me. Then I will add, delete to it, and send it back to him, and he would again fine tune it. That this way, by going back and forth, we wrote 11 chapters in 1 year. And what this allowed me to do, Emily, is it allowed me not to sit in front of a computer for a long time.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a challenge for me. So this helped me because again, my driver, it was my calling, right? My calling was to help others. And this was the best way of helping others, is to write this book. And I'm glad I found a way to do it.
Yeah.
So
It's
right
beautiful.
now, I'm basically on long-term disability. And, my life is pretty much, I've improved in strength. I've improved in with my vision. But my dizziness and balance is still a challenge. And to me, I in the book I call myself, I'm intoxicated without alcohol, because I feel like I'm drunk because of the stroke was on the cerebellum, and that has kept me doing work or going back to work, and so my life is pretty, so I'm talking to a lot of media after the book launch, and I'm in fact talking to a group of an organization in India. It's a stroke awareness organization. So I'm talking to them, and again spreading the message about how you should be aware of. So it's basically about stroke awareness. So I'm trying to do those kinds of things. And I also started volunteering at Innova Fairfax Hospital, who I feel very strongly because they saved my life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give back to them and to society. So I started to volunteer there. So once in a month, there's a group of ex-patients who give them, advice on how they can improve their, their services or the things. And I spent 60 days there. So I had a lot. So that made me, so volunteering also helped me, heal. And I was very happy that I started volunteering in January 2019 to Fairfax Innova Hospital. And so I spent time once in a month doing that. I try to go to the gym, every other day, because gym again, doing some weights, a stationary bike, as much as my dizziness allows me, because that is the key for my recovery, is continuing to do exercises and continuing to do those holistic exercises, like doing meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I do that, and so that's kind of my day in the life of Sameer.
We have many parents who listen to this podcast whose children have diagnoses that can feel very scary. What advice would you give someone who's facing a medical crisis, staring down what looks like a long recovery road, or simply trying to come to terms with a scenario that they did not choose?
Sure, sure. And in fact, I recently wrote an article uh, uh, about that. I mean, it was for, for people who are facing adversity, but I think those same things can apply to the parents and caregivers. Basically, the article talks about how what to do to cope better with stress and adversity, and that was written for people, general people going through adversity. But I think that same thing applied to parents and caregivers, because it's a big thing if your child is suffering, or you have to be a caregiver to a child or an adult or whoever. Caregiving is equally challenging. So the few tips I can offer based on my experience, dealing with adversity and seeing, what's going on with my caregivers and my medical helpers and so on and so forth. So the first and foremost thing I would advise the parents who are going through or whose child is going through any challenge or whatever, or any other caregiver, is that you have to prioritize and delegate your tasks. Now, because we are no, we cannot do everything, right? You have to delegate and prioritize tasks, and it helps with time management. And again, and also delegation is very important. We can't do everything on our own, and that it can if you don't delegate, there's a lot more workload for you, and a lot of work pressures, and it increases your stress and anxiety. So you have to prioritize what needs to be done, and you have to delegate those tasks. And whether it's in a personal or professional arena, these tasks, you have to effectively draw boundaries, and you have to plan through it, and that can go a long way in reducing your stress and anxiety. And especially when your child is suffering, or if you have a older parent, you have to take care of things like that. So that would be my number one tip. And the other thing, Emily, which is equally important, is effective. I call it the effective me time. You know, parents may ignore themselves while obviously going through taking care of a child or an elderly or whatever. And but it's one of the important things to maintain your healthy mind and body, is to indulge in some me time. Again, it's nothing to be ashamed of. This is nothing. It's not a selfish thing that you want to have time by yourself, but this is, you need to have that time for yourself so that you can take care of your child or your parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it could be anything, from being relaxed in solitude, whether you are meditating, whether you're taking some massages or pursuing a hobby. Mm-hmm. But basically, you're trying, you should have some time to yourself, and that kind of helps you reduce stress and increase your ability to take care of others. Mm-hmm. And that is very important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, what I had experienced is you have to, the other advice I'll give is you have to do exercise, whether it's, exercise for both your mind and body, like I had. So you have to, whether it's 10 minutes walks, whether it's doing exercises, whether you're doing yoga or joining dance groups or working out with friends, that will help parents or caregivers, drastically improve the quality of life they are going through, because they're under so much stress, so much pressure, that, exercising your mind and body is critical to maintain your sanity, if you will. Mm. And they, these exercises help elevate spirit and definitely help manage stress and anxiety. Yeah. And then the couple of other things which, my advice to parents is, you need to have a healthy social support system. And again, there's no shame in in getting help from others, whether it's friends, families, or professionals.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be an effective part of dealing with your stress and anxiety is to get help from others. And it could be anything. It could be a hobby. It could be talking to your friends on a regular basis, or talking to professionals. And what that does, Emily, is it gives you some self-confidence and a greater ability to handle the crisis, what you're going through. Social life is very important in regular life, but it's especially important when you're going through, when you're taking care of your child, or you're taking care of your parents. And that is definitely a thing to do, which helps in reducing stress and anxiety. And the other thing which I have effectively used over the 4 years in reducing my stress and anxiety, and I believe uh, parents and caregivers can also do that. And I've listened to a lot of music, and music was part of my healing journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Music has a universal language, and it in since ancient times has been used to heal, uh, is used to heal, and not just in Eastern Eastern traditions, but also in Western tradition.
Yeah.
It has been used to heal your mind and body. So my advice to parents and caregivers is listening to music daily is very therapeutic. And I'm a prime example of that. I listen to all kinds of music, Western music, Eastern music, obviously Indian music, Bollywood music, and all kinds of music. So whatever music you prefer, you should listen to it on a daily basis, and it's very relaxing, makes you calmer, and then which helps you with anxiety and stress, helps you sleep better, and fight diseases, because you have to take care of your mind and body, because if you fall sick, then your child or your parents who you're taking care of will suffer. So you have to take care of yourself, and music is one of the way. And as I said before, the other thing is doing meditation, practicing meditation. I think that which has helped me, and I think it will help the parents and caregivers, because there's so much stress, so much anxiety. The practicing meditation daily, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whether you do a guided meditation session, or you have somebody involved in meditation, you have to do that. It will help you calm, make you calm, and manage your anxiety. So those are a few things I can think of.
Thank you for all of that. Those are all great suggestions. I'm curious what your practice of meditating looks like.
Yes. So I practice something called mindfulness meditation.
Okay.
And this is a practice where you are mindful of the things happening around you, but you're not judging anything. So it's a practice that you're mindful of what's going on, physical, emotional, but you're not judging anything. And that has been very, very helpful to me. So there are different types of meditation, but I've been doing mindfulness meditation.
Okay. And do you do guided meditations as well? Did you?
Yeah. So what I try to do, and this is again over the last 4 years, when I visited India in fall of 2017, as I mentioned, I had never done meditation. I had never done yoga.
Yeah.
So one of the yoga teachers there started introducing me to practicing meditation. And that was very, very helpful in the 2.5 months I was there. But then I came back to the States in December of 2017. And something about his guided meditation which attracted me, but I was 8,000 miles away. So, I wanted to continue doing guided meditation with him, but I was far off. So, so I asked him whether he was comfortable doing a guided meditation through Skype or WebEx or whatever. And I had done those kind of remote remote, I'd worked remotely before in my professional life. So I asked him if he was comfortable doing that. And he had never done it, but he said, let's give it a try. So we started doing, once a week, we would do a guided meditation over Skype. And to date, I do that with him once a week. So
Wow.
once a week, I do that with him. And then almost every day or every other day, I do guided meditation by listening to YouTube videos, or there's an application called app called Headspace.
Yep.
So I try to do that. And again, I try to do it 10, 15 minutes. One thing I stress in the book is these are the things I have done. And, I come from a very practical standpoint, because there are lots of people will say, oh, you have to meditate 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day. For me, it is very simple. Do whatever you can, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I do that every day or every other day. And then I do the remote guided meditation with my yoga teacher, who is back in India now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for explaining that. Because
Sure.
since I started dabbling in meditation, I've learned that there's all different types of ways that there isn't like a one way to meditate, which was surprising to me as I learned about it.
Not easy at all.
It's not easy. Yeah, I find my mind drifts a lot. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is to continue to bring myself back to
very
center.
common thing. And my yoga teacher used to always, and he still says, is it's okay. It's okay that you have these thoughts. And whenever you have these thoughts, don't, penalize yourself, or don't get mad, don't get angry. Just go back to your breathing, focus on your breathing. And this is what I say in the book, because a lot of people, whether it's you, whether it's me, whether many people, we get really pissed off. Why are these thoughts coming to me? I should really be doing meditation. And his point was, it's okay that they come in. They will come in and go. And once they come in, all you can do is focus back on your breathing, and that then you're back doing the meditation.
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so why grace and gratitude in particular? You talked quite a bit about gratitude. What is it? What about grace to you?
Right. So I think grace is equally important. Again, as I said before, right? I had a choice that I could be miserable, and depressed about the situation, and be pissed off and angry since the last 4 years. But handling your crisis with grace is equally important, like gratitude, because you have to, because see, the way I looked at this is that I have to handle this with grace, and which I think I've done, because any other option is not an option, because you have to accept the situation and you have to handle with grace, and you have to always look forward to what you can do, because otherwise there's no point, right? Whatever the situation may be, whether it's a dramatic situation like me, or whether it's a job related situation, again, one fine day, right? It could be anything, but you have to accept whatever it is with grace and supplement with gratitude. That's the way I look at
it. Where can listeners purchase your book or find out more about you, Sameer?
Sure. So the best way to learn about me, I have a website, sameerbhide.com, SAMEERBHIDE.com, my first name, last name. And there you will find a lot of things about me, a lot of things about the book, where you can buy it, what the book is about. There are some photos. And there are something on the website, Emily, which I call them Sameerisms. Now, these are the lessons learned in my journey, which I've expressed, and I've shared that with my audience on the website. And those are called Sameerisms. And there are other resources where people can, I've kept resources like videos and And my book has a lot of quotes and inspirational and positive quotes at the beginning of each chapter and the end of each chapter. So on the website, I have created, I've added many other quotes there as well, besides videos, and so they can get all that information on my website. And the best places to buy my book, One Fine Day, is on Amazon worldwide, or Barnes and Noble here in the US, or on bookshop.org, which is a kind of an independent which helps independent booksellers. So you can buy my book on those sites.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sameer, is there anything else that you would like to share with the Brain Possible community today to be complete?
So the one thing I can think of, Emily, which I did not know till I go through this, is that no matter what you're facing, right? Whether you're facing a medical crisis like me, or whether your child is sick, or whether you're taking care of your parents and they're sick, no matter what it is, there are always unexpected benefits of these life changes, and that I did not know. And I'll give you some examples. And, there are always these unexpected benefits. So you're not, no matter what tragedy or what adversity you're going through, these unexpected benefits are there, and all you have to do is explore them. Yeah. So I'll use my example. Right before my stroke, I barely used to cook. I would probably cook like once in a year or once in 2 years. So, I barely used to cook. Now, because of my situation, my circumstances, now I started to cook more regular. So again, this was not an expected benefit. This was an unexpected benefit. So that's number one. And before my stroke, I struggled like many to do regular and consistent workouts. But after my stroke, I had to get into this habit of regular working out my mind, working out my body. So I got into the habit of doing consistent workouts. And that, again, was an unexpected benefit. And before I struggled, and now I was, I was doing a more regular and consistent workouts. And the last thing, which again was an unexpected benefit for me, is before my stroke, like cooking, I barely used to read books. I would probably read one book in 2 years or something like that. So I used to rarely read books. But after my stroke, I got into the habit of reading books. In my case, reading books means listening to audiobooks, because again, I was not able to read a lot. So I started to listen to a lot of audiobooks after my stroke. So now I can say that I probably do one audiobook in every 1 or 2 months. So before it was one in 2 years. Now I have got into the habit of listening to a lot of audiobooks. So again, these are some examples of how there are unexpected benefits no matter what you're facing.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and, how your mindset has supported you and helped you to thrive and to inspire others. I really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for writing One Fine Day.
Thanks for having me on. This was very nice to chat with you.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today and that you learned something new. Do you have a question for Sameer? Do you have your own story of overcoming adversity? We would honestly love to hear from you. Email us at info@thebrainpossible.com. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share our podcast if that feels true for you. You may also consider visiting our website for more information on stories, therapies, and products that we think you will love and will help support you on your healing journey. As always, thank you for spending your precious time with us at The Brain Possible. See you next week, and be well.